measures of central tendency. And this is on page, the homework is on page 702. And we're going to take a look at some notes first. And what do we mean by measures of central tendency? Here we describe a set of data by locating the middle region of the data. For example, in our frequency distribution that we have, you're going to see some data. It's going to come up like this, and it's going to get bigger and bigger, and then bigger still, and then it's going to kind of start to taper off. Well, if you do this, if you get enough of a frequency distribution, what you end up getting is like a bell curve. And that's not exactly the best, symmetrical curve, but you kind of get the idea in that what we want to do here is get the data in the central region here. Okay? What data can we collect from the majority of the data within what we call, in this middle region here, the mean? Okay, or we also know the mean as an average. Okay, so we're going to go through all of that. So here, raise this up a little bit. We're describing a set of data located in the middle region of our data. Okay, that's what this is. Common measures are the arithmetic mean, not arithmetic. Arithmetic mean, or just the mean. And normally we think of mean as, in other words, like an average, like your grade average. You add up your grades and you divide by the number of tests that you had, and that's your average. Well, that's your test mean. Okay? There's also a median, mode, and midrange. Okay? And those are also measures of our central region, or measures of central tendency. Okay? Our mean or our average. Median. That's the middle value of a set of data that is ranged in order from smallest to largest. So in the previous lesson, we had a large number of data, and we arranged them like 20s and 30s and 40s and so on. Well, here, we're actually arranging we're putting them in order, and then we're arranging them in a line from lowest to highest. And then we can see what our median is by counting how many to the left we have, how many to the right we have, and the data that's in the middle, that's our median. Kind of like the median in a highway. The median in a highway is the middle of the highway, right? So we can think of the median in our data as the middle of the data. The mode is the number that occurs most frequently. So if you have, for example, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that, we can say that our mode here is a 2. Okay, because 2 happens more frequently than anything else. Okay, so here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we could say that our mode is 2, and now we've got 7 data items, right? So if we counted 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3 to the left, we could say that 3 is our median. Okay? And that's what we would put. Median is 3. Okay? Now, sometimes we have more than 2 modes. Like, for example, if we have, here we have 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. Okay? So now our mode is 2, comma 6. Because we have 2 modes. Okay? Alright, and then there's sometimes where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In that case, there would be no modes, or none. Our mode would be none. Because there's nothing that sticks out about in frequency. So if you had 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 3s, 2 4s, 2 5s, 2 6s, same thing. Your mode would be none. Okay? Any questions with that? All right. So we said that it's possible to have 2 modes, and so we would call that bimodal. Okay? Or 2 modes current data set. And so I think there's one problem on the homework where there's actually 3 modes. Well, we don't call it trimodal. We're not so much into the nomenclature this time in this unit. Just keep in mind sometimes there is more than 3 modes in a problem. Mid-range, that's where we have the least value plus the largest value divided by 2. So we're looking, again, we're trying to get that middle ground, that middle region. Least plus the largest divided by 2. Now, mid-range and what we're going to cover in the next lesson, range, those two, sometimes people mess those up. They mix them up. They get confused between the two. So keep in mind that for mid-range, this is least plus the largest divided by 2. Now there's also another thing called the range, which we'll cover in the next lesson, and that's the largest minus the smallest. Okay, and it's these two that people tend to get confused with. In fact, people tend to, after a while, after they see range, they tend to remember range, but they forget mid-range. Okay, so you want to remember both. Okay, questions with that?